This is episode 47 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Shannon Robnett. Shannon has been in the industry for 27 years. He's been involved from start to finish on over 350 million in construction projects, which cover a large amount of different assets: multifamily, professional office buildings, city halls, fire, police stations, pretty much everything. Shannon, welcome to the show. It's great to meet you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. I think from what I've read in our pre-call that the real estate bug came from your dad. Is that correct?
Yeah, both my parents were involved in real estate. My mom got a real estate license in 1980 and opened a brokerage. My dad was a general contractor in California, moved to Boise, Idaho in 1980. And, so I was forced labor for a long time. And, site cleanup and lawn landscaping and all that kind of stuff. And I thought I was going to go to college, but I realized, they wanted me to show up all the time. I had these assignments to do. And so I went back into real estate, started building houses, realized I didn't like homeowners. So I really switched over to the commercial side and really pursued my passion through commercial real estate for the last probably 25 of those 27 years.
Yeah, and they're kind of getting in better than a traditional structure. Some companies had looked originally, I don't know, you've been in it for a long time, but there were a lot of companies that were in more traditional like office environments, and then realized like, why don't we just do this in industrial spaces? Like, we're not like a pretty organization. We don't need like fancy tables and everything. So have you seen a big change of what's going into industrial complexes over the years?
Where we're at, we like a lot of the owner user, smaller business type stuff, the 3 to 10,000 square foot tenant. There's, I think the world's a pyramid, right? There's how many billionaires versus millionaires, right? And then there's the rest of us folks. But when I look at it, I go, man, I can get a lot more 3 to 5,000 square foot tenants. The majority of businesses in the United States are small businesses.
Yeah.
And so I've really focused on that area, and we've had a lot of success. And the reality is they'll also pay a little bit of a premium on the space. So your rents over versus costs tend to be a little bit higher with that small base space.
Yeah, and the industrial kind of caters to people who need taller spaces. I mean, you can fit trucks into a lot of industrial. Yeah. Getting in and out is easier for those type of business, which does allow
Absolutely.
them to pay that premium.
Yep. I've got a virtual reality company in one space. I've got a gelato ice cream guy in a space. Everything you can imagine: karate dojos, golf cart sales.
Yeah.
Electricians, cabinet makers. All kinds. And one of the very first buildings I built for myself in 2001 was a 10,000 square foot space building, and I got a couple of tenants that still 21 years later are still there. They've literally, those guys have paid off their section of the building. I almost feel like I need to take them a, piece of the title or something.
Yeah.
But
that shows over the long haul that you made the right decision on building that type of building. And then obviously it works for the tenants long term.
Well, and when you look at, what people do with businesses, they're not necessarily as concerned about, they move farther away, but they don't want to move their business because their clients know it, and the suppliers know it. And moving a business is much easier than somebody packing up their cinder block entertainment center and heading down the street because they get $50 off on the rent. I was a design build contractor, and I saw where I could do this and I could create the value for the other people because I could bring their vision to life. And then I just kind of said, well, why am I not doing this for myself? And so we do a lot of ground up industrial. We do a lot of ground up multifamily. And the reality is at the end of the day, we're creating that value. So we are the original value add. When people talk about coming in and repainting and that stuff, that's great. We're building apartment complexes right now that there's about a 25 or 30% margin in from the cost through the valuation with the tenants in it. So all of that work, all of that stuff, but it's a 4-year grind from the day you tie up the property till the day you're opening your doors for your tenants.
Yeah, That makes sense. And those are two different philosophies. It's long term, short term. And a lot of newer investors are really focused on the short term. And because they didn't grow up like we did, understand that it's a long term game. Do you think that's
Right.
helped you in the contracting phase, though? Because then you can really explain to people like, look, you're not getting this return tomorrow. If you want to get this, extra return, you're going to have to wait it out with us and trust us.
Well, I wish it was easy to explain stuff. What I use is I put cameras on my website for all my job sites, so you can see it being built and you can see that, hey, look, there's guys running around,
Yeah.
but not a lot happened today. And then all of a sudden you see the slab go down and you go, oh wow, a lot happened today.
Yeah.
But I think, like the value add, people understand that when we buy this, we've got work to do till we get a return. And so we have those conversations. We're also buying right now, we're buying cash flowing industrial because there's opportunities for that in the market that's currently existing. And so we like that as well. But we're really, because of my long history in the business and everything, we're really able to diversify and I wouldn't say necessarily be nimble, but we understand multiple asset classes. The only difference between buying a stabilized or a partially stabilized industrial project and building one is about 9 to 12 months.
Mhm.
A lot of the other parts and pieces are the same. And so to be able to understand the asset class, to be able to understand the underlying market is really where the work needs to be done. And once you have those two down, then you can kind of alternate back between building or buying.
So what's your favorite? I mean, if you were going to do a ground up build now, what would be just your personal favorite, depending on what you're getting out of it, not money wise, but what's your favorite to build?
It's always been industrial. It's always been industrial, and it's the easiest,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the tenant's looking for four walls and a roof. The city's looking for basic communication. There's not a lot of fire, life, and safety. There's not a lot of distance from exit doors that you got to
Right.
consider from 17 different hallways and how this works together. You're not dealing with elevators. You're not, it's a very simple process, and you can get start to finish in it pretty quickly. And then the cash flow is right. And
Yeah.
then just like we just discussed, your buyers and sellers are institutional grade. So you're not dealing with, mom and pop and stuff like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You have to say that nowadays, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. But the reality is I want to quick clean everything. And this makes for quick clean everything. And then once I'm done, see, my problem is, Jonathan, I have HD, ADD, high definition attention deficit disorder. So I see everything in 1080i.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the minute the plans are drawn and the bank financing's in place, I'm bored. I'm done. That is the deal that I put together.
Yeah.
From there, I want to be able to set that off to the side, have it built, have it, leased out, and have it make money. And so for me, it's creating the deals, and I can create more deals, and I can feed my ADHD, right, better and faster with these kinds of projects. And they just click along. They're just like clockwork with the payments too.